Today, we're ranking every character in Mortal Kombat history, which characters are the most influential and had the biggest impact on the series. With the exception of NPCs like Blanche or Puggles the Bat, you get the idea. Obviously, they're not here, but every playable character and boss character will all be on this tier list. Since everybody keeps saying that Mortal Kombat 1 is dying, this video feels oddly appropriate, because we're showing everyone which characters shaped this series and made it the powerhouse that it is today. If you enjoy tier list videos or simply love Mortal Kombat, please leave a like down below, it helps the channel out a ton. And without any further ado, let's get started. Today I'm doing things a little bit differently. I'm not going to drag and drop every character one at a time because we'd be here all day. So instead, I'm going to reveal an entire row at a time and then briefly explain each character's rank. With that in mind, we have the top rank, the most important characters. These are characters that cannot miss out on a game. If you leave these characters off the roster, your game is crippled from the start. Without these characters in your game, it is going to underperform big time. So here we go, the big reveal: Sub-Zero, Scorpion, Raiden, and Liu Kang. These four characters are essential to your game. And keep in mind, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are tied here. They both need to be in the game, and there's not much explanation required. These are the poster characters of the series. Even if they're not the main character in the story, Scorpion and Sub-Zero are the main reason that most players buy a Mortal Kombat game, and there's no denying that. So next up, let's talk Raiden. Some people might argue he's not a core character, but keep in mind, Raiden is the whole reason we have the past 3 games. Raiden himself is responsible for resetting the timeline and giving us Mortal Kombat 9, and Mortal Kombat X MK11, you get the idea, he's the reason those games exist. And then on top of that, he's also an iconic character as well. So next up, let's talk about Liu Kang. He's the main character of Mortal Kombat 1, he reshaped the universe and rebooted the timeline, which is already incredible and iconic, a huge impact on the series, but even long before that, he was the main character of the game. He's the main character in the movies, you get the idea, Liu Kang is iconic. These 4 characters stand alone as the most important characters in Mortal Kombat history, but if you disagree, let me know in the comments. Because next up, we have the very important category, and these characters are also very essential for your roster. Leave them out at your peril and watch everyone get mad at you. These characters played a big role in making the series popular. They might not be the main characters or the most important characters, but they're still very, very essential. So here's the big reveal. First up, we have Reptile and Ermac. Anytime these characters are left out of a game, the fans get mad. Like, a majority of fans are like, how do you leave out Ermac and Reptile? Reptile's been around since the very first game and was a secret boss fight. You have to put him in, and Ermac was a rumor that became so popular that the developers had to make him real. So gotta include him too. They're both iconic, do not leave them out. Next up, we have Mileena and Kitana, the leading ladies of Mortal Kombat. I know Sonya Blade was first, but we gotta be real here, Kitana and Mileena are the queens. If you exclude either one of them, you're gonna be in trouble. And real quick, I wanna say, don't get too hung up on the order from left to right. I did my best to organize it right, but also keep in mind, all of these characters are very important, so don't worry too much about their rank, they're all important. Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade have been around since the very first game, so of course, really iconic. However, Kung Lao and Jade are an interesting topic because they're also super iconic despite being in the shadows of 2 other characters, right? Kung Lao is always second to Liu Kang, and Jade is always second to Kitana, but they're still both very iconic. Next up, we have Kenshi. There's not much to explain here. He is the definition of a 3D era character that needs to be in every game. He's pretty much the poster boy of the 3D era. Next up, we have Jax, who is treated terribly by the writers for some reason. Whether it's in the video games or in the movies, he is treated like trash, but he is a cornerstone of the game. You have to keep him in. And the same is true for Shang Tsung. He is the main villain. I think personally you could leave him out for a game, but I think most people disagree with that opinion and think he should be in all the games, which is why I put him right here. Next up, we have the robots, Ketchup and Mustard. Why are these characters left out of the games? They are clearly a fan favorite. Everybody wants to play as the cool robots. Sector and Cyrax are the embodiment of the 90s and early 2000s. They are hardcore hardcore, edgy robots with lightsabers who want to murder you. There's nothing cooler than that. Yet for some odd reason, the developers keep leaving them out of the games or making them DLC, which is a terrible decision. Stop doing that. And then finally we have Noob Saibot. What's there to say? He is a fan favorite character with a really cool moveset that can do pretty much anything, so he's gotta be in the games every time. And then on top of that, his name is literally the two founding creators of Mortal Kombat just spelled backwards. So yeah, he's the embodiment of Mortal Kombat. Alright, so next up we have the big deals. These characters are important. Not very important, but they are big deals, which is why you should definitely consider putting them in your game. Even if they're not a playable character, they should still be there as a boss character, or at least mentioned, or show up in story mode. You get the idea. Bing bang boom, here's the reveal. First up we have Onaga. Why is NetherRealm sitting on this character? He is the epitome of the big bad. He is the strongest villain in the series, the biggest threat. Why has he not returned? Next up, let's talk about Shao Kahn. He is everyone's favorite villain. Let's be real, Shao Kahn will never not be the favorite. Baraka. This might seem like an odd placement, but follow my logic here. Baraka is the embodiment of violence. He is creepy, intimidating, scary, gory. Watching this guy fight is the epitome of Mortal Kombat, and that's why he's a big deal. Next up we have Smoke. He is extremely popular. He can be a cyborg or a human. Either way, people are going to love him. Cabal, fastest character in the series, iconic weapons, really cool look with the cybernetic stuff and the awesome mask. This guy is popular for a very obvious reason. Then we have Rain. Everyone loves a waterbender. He can summon lightning. He can kick you around the world. His moveset is just really, really cool, and his name and creation is inspired as a joke from Princess Purple Rain. He's iconic. Then we have Nightwolf, once again underrated by the developers for some reason, but the fans love him. There's not much else to say there. Shujinko literally created Conquest Mode, right? He is the main character of an entire game, and also one of the strongest characters in the entire series. For any longtime fans of Mortal Kombat, they know Shujinko. Make no mistake, he is very iconic. Then we have Goro, a sub-boss, but the favorite sub-boss. Let's be real, everybody loves Goro. If you put him in your game, people are gonna be ecstatic. Then we have Quan Chi. I don't like this guy because in my mind, he's the one who killed Liu Kang. Shang Tsung was getting bodied, and then Quan Chi attacked Liu Kang from behind in his blind spot. I hate this guy, but a lot of people actually prefer him as the main villain, and his gameplay and attacks are always super cool, and let's be real, his look is iconic. I could show you a very blurry image and you would still know that it's Quan Chi by his color palette alone. And speaking of villains, next up we have Shinnok. This guy has so much potential, and his gameplay could be really cool. He's an actual necromancer who can summon skeletons and all that cool stuff. Now that said, he's pretty similar to Quan Chi in that way, but there's a huge fan base of Shinnok, and I don't think his power has ever been truly depicted well in the game. Next up we have Fujin, the brother of Raiden. Really cool look, wind powers, a pretty devoted fan base to this guy. He's not crazy popular, but he is still definitely a big deal. Kotal Kahn, this may seem like a weird pick, but let me explain. This guy is way more popular than you would think, given how the writers treat him in all the games. Trust me, Kotal Kahn is like a top 5 of the new characters in the past 20 years. People love Kotal Kahn, believe it or not. The writers just don't for some reason, but players love Kotal Kahn and would not be upset if he's in all the future Mortal Kombat games. Tanya, also a really cool character with tons of potential. I think her moveset is cool in MK1, but outside of that, they didn't really understand her character. I understand Mortal Kombat 1 is meant to be different, but what made Tanya cool is that she was a double agent, that she was a spy, and she would betray you, and she always had a sinister plan going in her head. That's what made Tanya cool and iconic. Next up we have Sindel, who I think should appear every now and then. I don't think she needs to be in every game, but her design, her attacks, all very cool, and she does have a fan base. Scarlet is an interesting one, because I love Scarlet, and I'm glad she returned in Mortal Kombat 11, but I think her zoning and slower paced gameplay turned a lot of fans away from her, and sadly she might not ever return, but if she did, I think it would be a big deal. Takeda, yeah, one of the only combat kids that people like, need I say more. Cassie Cage, same thing. A popular combat kid, one of the favorite new characters in the past 10 years or so. If she returns, it's gonna be a big deal. Oh boy, this next category is going to get me in some trouble. This is the mid. These characters are not bad, but they're not great either. They can be in the game, sure, but I don't think they're required, and also they never played a big role in the series. They're not the character that sold copies and made the game more popular, if you know what I mean. Alright, Alright, so here we go, big reveal. First up we have Kano. I know some people love this guy, but I feel like Kano is the definition of, yeah, he can be there, but he doesn't need to be there. Next up we have Trimmer. I think Trimmer is cool, but he's also not necessary, and this tier list is not my opinion. I'm trying to be objective about how popular these characters are. Shiva, I like this character, but she's just Goro. Let's be real, she's a low-budget Goro. Serena, I want to see her done well, but so far she's not essential. Kentaro, I think this guy is overdue for a return, but at the same time, he's just Goro, but he looks different. Blaze, I think, has so much potential, and despite his big role in Armageddon, most people forgot what this guy was about. They think he's just a big dumb lava monster. They don't know he's been in like 3 or 4 games. That's how forgettable this poor guy is. Frost, once again, I love this character, but she's just Sub-Zero. Let's be real. Striker. If done correctly, Striker can be interesting, but I don't think he's ever the reason that people buy games, like 99% of the time. Garrus, the definite golden boy of NetherRealm. They are pushing this guy so hard, and if they had it their way, he'd be in every single game. But honestly, you can take him or leave him. Li Mei, another character that I love, but let's be real, she's just a punching and kicking character. They made her a bit more unique in Mortal Kombat 1 with the constructs that she can make, like the lion thing and the lantern, and she can shoot fireworks. That's cool. NetherRealm actually did a good job revamping her character, but let's be real, how many of you aren't gonna buy the next game if she's not in it? And then we have D'Vorah. Okay, I understand this character is hated for killing off so many favorite characters. Even in the movie, she beats up Johnny Cage. I understand why we hate her, but let's pretend for a second she did not do that. Her design is actually unique. Her moveset also cool, never been done before in Mortal Kombat. I think if she had just not killed the favorite characters, people would like her, and I think they would want her to come back. And honestly, in saying that, we all know who this character is, don't we? Because we hate her, so in that way you could argue she's actually very influential. Alright, now it's time for the unpopular category. I'm likely not going to explain every character in this row because we'd be here all day. These characters are just not a very big deal. Alright, big reveal, Aaron Black. We liked him at a time, but I think already people are tired of him. Kung Jin, if he came back, fine, but you could also replace him. He's not very popular. Havoc has so much potential, but I think after Mortal Kombat 1, people are done. That itch has been scratched. Reiko, he's just Shao Kahn. Forget about him. Ashura, really cool in Mortal Kombat 1, but I think she's done now. Nitara went from fan favorite to most hated in a single game, and I blame NetherRealm and also Megan Fox. What happened to this character, man? Everyone used to love her, and now she's like bottom 5 in the series. Real quick, pop quiz, who is this guy? I bet a lot of you watching don't even know who this is. This is Kai. He's been in Mortal Kombat 4 and Armageddon, that's it. Really cool moveset, he does capoeira, and his backstory is decent too, but nothing was done with him and he's not popular. This poor guy is so unpopular that he wasn't even in the mobile game, instead it was his mask, so that tells you everything you need to know about him. Ferritor, love this character, but they're forgettable. Collector, love this character too, but he's forgettable. Motaro was in Mortal Kombat 1 finally, that itch has been scratched, nobody's gonna care anymore. And then Bo Raicho. I go back and forth on this character. I like that he's goofy because I think Mortal Kombat is meant to have an element of goofiness to it, but at the same time, this character is famous because he farts and pukes on people. Does that character really need to come back in Mortal Kombat? I don't think so. Alright, next up we have the forgettable category, which is worse than being not popular. These characters were completely forgotten about. Time for the big reveal. Chameleon. Until Mortal Kombat 1, nobody was talking about this character. Darius, most people did not want this guy in the game anyway. Dairo is so forgettable they combined him with Havoc. Dagon was the main antagonist for a single game and people forgot very quickly because what's his deal? Like, what's special about him? He uses swords, I guess, nothing really cool there. Same can be said for Hotaru. I like his armor, but outside of that, what's so cool about his moveset? What's he bring to the table? Nothing, that's why he's forgotten. Chameleon, but the guy version. You could argue he's more forgettable than the lady version because there's not very many lady ninjas, so at least she has that going for her, but the male ninjas, there's so many, so Chameleon, that much more forgettable. Kira, as an underdog lover myself, I want this character to make an awesome comeback, like Stryker did in Mortal Kombat 9, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Jarek, this guy is most famous for dying in Mortal Kombat 4. What else needs to be said? Cyber Sub-Zero was a cool one-off, never come back. Jackie, they tried so hard with you in Mortal Kombat 11, but for most players, they've already forgotten about you and you're likely not going to come back. Mavado, you stole Cabal's weapons, and that's what you're known for, pretty much. So come back one time, scratch that itch, and then go away forever. Meat, I like this character, but I think think I like him because everyone else hates him. If he was popular, I'm not sure if I would find him interesting at all. Moloch, a big deal for everyone who loved Deadly Alliance. Maybe it was your first game, but for everyone else, forget about him, like they don't care. Taven, the main character of the final game in the original series, and guess what? He's not known for anything that cool. He looks generic, his attacks were generic, his personality also generic, and unlike Shujinko, he can't even copy people's moves or something cool like that. He's just kinda blah. And now finally, it's time for the last category, the remove. The characters that should never return for obvious reasons. Most of them are guest cameos. I don't want guest characters to ever repeat in a future Mortal Kombat game. So that's why Joker, Freddy Krueger, Jason, Leatherface are all here, not because they're bad. I loved Predator in Mortal Kombat X. I thought Spawn was really cool in Mortal Kombat 11, but don't ever come back. It's already bad enough that I miss out on a Mortal Kombat character because a guest character took their slot. I am not going to allow a returning guest character to take a Mortal Kombat character's slot. However, that being said, there are some Mortal Kombat characters down here as well. First off, we have Mocap. He's a joke character, a one-off character, don't ever bring him back. Even if it is for the funny, I don't want it unless he's 100% free. What about Triborg though? What's my beef with Triborg? I'll tell you right now. I think each of the Cyborg characters deserves their own fully dedicated character slot, movesets, special moves, all that stuff. Do not combine them and make them all very similar. It was okay for Mortal Kombat X, I understand why you did it, but don't ever do it again. In future games, Sector and Cyrax must be separate characters. If you put in Cyber Smoke, he also needs to be a separate character with a fully realized moveset. Oh boy, but then we have Su Hao. I wish he could make a comeback, but this guy is hated by the developers and the fan base as a whole. The only people who like Su Hao like him because he's a beaten puppy in the street, right? Everyone hates on him and so you feel bad for him. But I don't think anybody would jump out of their seat if Mortal Kombat 12 got revealed and he was the first character you saw, let's be honest. Then we have Cobra, another joke character. He's meant to be a parody of Ken Masters and also the antagonist in the Karate Kid movies, Johnny, both of which are funny and have novelty, but don't bring him back. There is nobody who deserves to be replaced by this guy. Alright everyone, that's it for my tier list video. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed. If you did, leave a like down below, comment your thoughts as well, and then finish that combo by subscribing and ringing that bell so you never miss any future videos. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.